Alright guys, we're going to take a look at arithmetic sequences. This time we're going to look at recursive sequences. So right here where it says recursive, that's what we're going to talk about. Before we begin, where we're actually doing any questions, we need to understand what the letters in the formula is. So this is a recursive formula. This is how you read it. A sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus d. So let's talk about what all those individual things mean. So a sub n is going to be your nth term. A sub n minus 1 is the term before it. Okay, so for example, and I'll just show you with this. If my first term is negative 14, my second term is negative 17, my third is negative 20, my fourth is negative 23. If I want the term before the third term, so here's my third term. If I want the term before that, it's going to be negative 17. In sequences, they refer to the term before as a sub n minus 1. So if I want, say for example, a sub 5, that's the fifth term, a sub 4, the fourth term, a sub 3, the third term, like that. So let's say I have a sub 3. So I go 1, 2, 3, the third one. The term before that is the second one, like that. All right. So that's the previous one. And then D, of course, we know is the common difference. And we're going to write this again. What is the common difference in equations equivalent to? It's equivalent to slope. So once again, write this down. Common difference is slope. D is equal to M. This is a very important concept that we're going to keep saying over and over. Now in recursive, what you have to do, so my first term is a sub 1. In recursive, you have to say a sub 1 is equal to blank something, and then you have to write the recursive formula. And I'll show you what that is in a second because that's not going to make any sense. All right, so I'm going to come to a question. Again, as I do my question, you're going to do yours. So yours is on this other page. Here you have instructions on how to put it into Desmos, and then you have your question. So I'm going to do this question. You're going to do this question. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to do this question. You're going to do this question. All right, so before we even begin, what we're going to do is make it a table. Let me just read these steps to you so that you know how to use them. Create a table. So you're going to click a plus sign on the top left, create a table. Input the pattern, whether you're given a context, whether you're given numbers, or you're given pictures. So if I'm given pictures, this my first one will be 1, my second one will be 3, my third one will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so in this case, I'm given a pattern, so I'm going to put this in. Before I put this in, just so we can make it very, very clear, you're going to go ahead and copy this down. Okay, we're going to make a table through this. Through every number, we're going to make a column. And before we even begin, we're going to make some corrections because this is wrong. This should be a positive 2, and then this should be a negative 3. So please go ahead and make those corrections. This should be a positive 2, and this should be a negative 3. All right, so in a table, in sequences, we know that we have an X and then we have a Y, correct? Okay, in linear equations, my apologies. In sequences, what that is referred to is the nth number, okay? And here, this is referred to the a sub n number. So it's very similar to equations. The only difference is they call this n and they call y a sub n, okay? So this is my first number. So if it's my first number, it's x equals 1 or n equals 1. My second number is 7. So that's the same as x equals 2 or n equals 2. My third number is 2. So that's the same as x equals 3 or n equals 3. And then my fourth number is negative 3. So that's the same as x equals 4 or n equals 4. Now reading this in sequences, what they're going to refer to as the 12 as the y, they're not going to say y is 12. They're going to say a sub 1. My a sub 1 because this is my first one. A sub 2 because that's my second one. A sub 3 because that's my third one. A sub 4 because that's my fourth one, because this just says n. You see how it says n and this is n? So the number 1 would be right here. The number 2 would be right here. The number 3 would be right here. The number 4 would be right here. Okay, so that's how to read it. We're going to practice how to read it in class just so you can make it, because you're very used to seeing X and Y. And if you can just learn the 2 new words to make X and Y for sequences, then this will be okay. So what I want you to do is go ahead and create a table for yourself right here. Kind of squeeze it in. All right, and then we're going to put it in the calculator. So as I put in my question, you're putting in yours. So I see X is 1, X is 2, 3, 4. And then on the a sub n piece, I'm going to call it a sub n now instead of y, 12, 7, 2, and negative 3. All right, now that I've put in my table and you've put in yours, so again, your number should not match mine. All right, I've put in my number, zoom fit, so we can see the points. That's going to be this magnifying glass on the bottom left of your table. That's going to be zoom fit. Choose the correct regression that fits perfectly. So click flag, this button right here, and then you can see the regression fits perfectly. Now, if it doesn't fit perfectly, you know that you've copied your sequence wrong. So if it doesn't fit perfectly and you can't see what you've copied wrong, pause the video, raise your hand, let me help you. All right, so that fits perfectly. So I keep going, copy the equation and make the equation a table. So I'm going to copy that equation, then come here. So to copy the equation, I hit the notepad. You can also just copy it down if you want to. Then hit gear or settings and then table. That allows me to get any term I want. So if I come to the bottom number, which is 2, and I press enter, hold it down actually, you can see it gives me a whole bunch of values depending on what I want. Okay, so now I've done that. Now answer any question that is asked. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to go back to here. Those are the steps basically for any sequence that you're given. All right, now I'm going to go back here and answer the question that I'm asked. So it says write a recursive formula. Okay, so to write the recursive formula, there are 2 things that I said that you need. You need to write a sub 1 equals. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say a sub 1 equals. And what does sub 1 mean? The first term. So what is my first number? Mine is 12. Again, you're going to go and do yours on the right side of the paper. So you're writing mine down, then going to do yours. And then you pause the video as you need. Don't let the video keep playing. All right, so I write my first term, and then the second thing is I have to write the formula. To write the formula, you're just going to write a sub n. So any term is the term before, which is a sub n minus 1. And then all you need to put here is the common difference. And remember, we said the common difference is the same as what? The slope. Do I have my slope? I sure do. Here's my slope right here. My slope is -5 because it's y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So my slope or my common difference is -5. So I will finish my formula as -5. And that's it. That's how I write a recursive formula. Okay, so again, at this point, you should also have first term and your formula on your question. Now, the reason we copy it and make it a table is when it tells you to find the specific term. So this one is asking you to find the 10th term, the 10th number, when x is equal to 10. So all I have to do is look at my table, and obviously I've passed it, so I'm going to say show all. And I'm just going to go to 10. And what is my 10th number? It is -33. To write that, you're going to say a sub 10, because this means my 10th number. My 10th number is equal to -33. And what this means is when x is 10, y, this whole thing is y, is -33. Okay, so at this point, you should have written down your linear function. So your linear function would be whatever you have in the calculator, not what I'm pointing to, whatever you have. Your first term, which is your first number, whatever it is in your table. A sub n is a sub n minus 1, and then whatever your common difference is, which is your slope. Use the knowledge that you have to write the explicit function. So it doesn't ask me to find mine. However, I want to check your understanding of the previous work that I've done. You write your explicit function. And here's the equation if you forgot it. That's the recursive one, and here's the explicit one. So use that equation, write your explicit function so I can check to see your understanding on explicit. Let's practice.